Whether you're at the beach, hiking, or fishing, fun in the sun should include proper safety precautions from the sun's UV rays. Joining us now is UW Health family medicine physician, Dr. Philip Carlson Dexter. Doctor, thanks so much for coming on to the show.
Anytime.
So first off, how does the sun sort of affect our skin on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a good question. The sun emits light in a lot of different wavelengths, and generally speaking, the more intense, the shorter that wavelength, the more energy it carries and the more potential it has to damage our skin, pigments, really anything. The longer you let it sit in the sun, the higher the energy, the worse it is. But specifically, we get worried about a few bands of UV light called UVA, UVB, and UVC. And those are high energy wavelengths of light that penetrate into the skin through the top layer, which serves as a waxy barrier, and can even penetrate down to the deeper layers of the skin called the dermis. And those high energy waves, especially in the UVA variety, actually damage the DNA that our cells need to use to turn over skin cells and generate new layers of skin. So the direct effect of the damaging rays is damage to the DNA.
Yeah, and obviously, with all this intense heat and sunshine that we've sort of been getting this past week, maybe what are some things that people should maybe be more alert about than usual?
That's another good question. The intensity of the heat is an entire separate separate issue. The intense heat is really dangerous for people with certain medical conditions in terms of the risk of dehydration and heat exhaustion, heat stroke. And now that we are just at the summer solstice, we are actually getting the most intense direct sun rays that we will all year. And so this time of year, from spring, beginning of spring to the end of fall, we have a much more direct pathway for sun to reach us. And it's because of that, direct solar rays that we are much more likely to get a sunburn now than we are, say, in the winter. So with the higher amounts of heat, you're going to be sweating more, which even if you are putting on sunscreen correctly, sweating is like swimming when it comes to making that sunscreen wear off faster. So people really need to be aware that with all the heat and all the water activities, putting on sunscreen, once before you go out in the day is just simply not enough to reduce that damage from the sun.
Yeah, and then one more quick question here for you, Dr. Carlson. You're mentioning sunscreen here, but I think, are there more specific types that people should be looking for? Just instead of just grabbing one off the shelf?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of different types of sunscreen. I mean, even if you just go to Target, I think there are 50 different types and brands that are on the counter. People should really look for sunscreen that is at least SPF 30, and be it either a spray or lotion or a bar. Getting something that is going to be easier for you to use is always better. I know that I have 18-month-old twins, and trying to hold them down to put on sunscreen all over in a lotion it's just impossible. So
yeah.
I really prefer the spray-on sunscreen.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
looking for anything SPF 30 or higher. And if you have certain skin conditions, some dermatologists actually recommend going with even higher SPF ratings, so 50 or higher. And there is a certain cutoff where, depending on what literature you read, that above say 70 to 100, going up higher and higher on the SPF won't necessarily give you that much more protection. But for the average person, 30 to 50 SPF anywhere with exposed skin will be sufficient to protect you from damaging UV rays.
All right. Well, that is all the time that we have for our interview. Dr. Carlson, thank you so much again for coming on to the show.
Yep, you're welcome. Anytime.
Absolutely.